Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham Day, and you are live with us on Twitch. Unless you're watching on YouTube or listening on demand, then you are not live with us, but you're here, so that's all that matters. How is everyone doing today? If you are live with us on Twitch, please feel free to get involved in the chat. As Jojo Lean did quite a while ago, actually. Jojo sat there waiting for the countdown. We appreciate you being here, Jojo. Good morning. How is things? I didn't see you yesterday for the Masters of the League stuff. Hope life is good. Mr. Gary Clark is in the chat as well, saying, morning, fellas. There he is.
Morning.
What a guy. How is everyone doing today? How's things, babe? Nice hat.
Yeah, good, man. Good. Yeah, good hat. Yeah, I have no idea what you look like today, so yeah, I was
just
saying
lost
nice
Bibbs' audio completely. It just, like, your mic just got turned down. He went, right. Hello?
So can you not hear me?
Oh,
now?
he's back. There we go.
Oh, okay. Yay.
It's the lockdown lifestyle. It's already going long. It feels like it. It feels like it already. Although it's actually not going too bad for me. Started my lockdown lifestyle with McDonald's breakfast on the way back from the school run. So yeah, drive through wins.
That's right.
Yeah. How is everyone doing? For those of you who don't know, my name is Graham Day. This, as I mentioned, is the man that we call Bibby. And we together are Ice Cream Uploads, and in true ice creamy fashion, this is the scoop, your daily dose of news from the world of video games and beyond. And some people, us, might say that this is the UK's #1 video game podcast, and we wouldn't argue. We're going to give you our thoughts and impressions on the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories from the world of video games, and we want your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions. So if you are live in the chat, like Jojo and Gary are, please feel free to get involved. And it is important that you do, because we turn this into a podcast, a video that goes out on YouTube, and an audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So lots of people watching and listening on demand that don't necessarily have the ability to get involved with us live here in the chat, so please use your voice on behalf of them. But speaking about on demand, a lot of people have been getting involved, so it's nice to see the YouTube comments popping recently. So we've got a few comments, particularly on the last video / stream / podcast on PlayStation stock, which is interesting because that's a little bit something that we are going to talk about today. Before that, though, just a couple of things to mention. One, I've mentioned it and I will continue to mention it because we are so close to 2,000 followers. If you guys can just ask, just do a nice little tweet every now and then. So, do you know what? I'm really enjoying the Ice Cream Uploads podcast live on Twitch each and every single weekday at 10 a.m. ish on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. Then yeah, just ask people to get a follow. Give us a follow. That would help us grow the channel, which is nice. But also it means that we can give a little bit back to you much quicker, because as soon as we hit 2K followers, we are going to do a 2K giveaway. As in 2K, as in 2,000, not necessarily the 2K games, but I'm not saying that it might not include 2K stuff, but it might not. I'm saying whatever you do, something. It's fine, whatever. Anyway, as well as that, we will have a subscriber giveaway each and every month. We do it the first Monday of the month. Just earlier this week, we gave away a copy of FIFA 21. Next month, we will give away a prize that's just as good. Do you know what? Some people might have been waiting for this prize for months and months and months. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, before we do any more of that, should we jump into some news, babe?
I think we should, Graham, yes.
I think we should. Nice. Okay, let me jump into the split screen first, because, you need to see more of Bib on screen. Here's the showstopper, the icon, the main event. Sorry, Shawn Michaels, but we've just taken all of your spiel. Now, anyway. I don't know why I went down the Shawn Michaels rabbit hole then, but, best wrestler of all time, so it's fine. Okay, it's doing that thing where Chrome just goes, nah, mate, I'm not going to work, mate. So tell us a bit about what you did yesterday, babe.
Question, what did it? I always played Masters of the League. And then we went out to go to the village to go and get something to eat, pre-lockdown meal now, because we are locked down in, well, at least in England. I don't want to offend Gargad again, saying that they're not locked down in Scotland or Wales, wherever they are. But yeah, it's okay.
That was good. That was perfectly timed. Nice.
Yes.
Gaga, good morning. Welcome in. Nice to see you here from the UK. Not England, just the UK. Good to have you in. Madge as well. Hey, don't know if you can see it. If you are on Twitch, you will see that Madge has just used one of the exclusive subscriber-only emotes here on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. And it's actually an audible emote, because when you press it, it makes a noise that sounds a little bit like this.
Hello.
Hey, there we go. We got a good one. None of the.
Hello.
Hello. I did that on on the Jelly Discord this morning. Dan was trying to sort out his headset and dropped in and went hello. So I was like hello. So there you go. That was my contribution to the office. Yeah. Matt says hope everyone is well. Next work call at 11. So enjoy this for a little bit. Yeah. 18 minutes of magic time. Yeah. That's what we like to see, and that's also what I would aspire to be in life. Anyway, enough of the innuendos. Let's jump into the first news article, which is written by Andy Robinson at VGC, and it says PS5's launch is already completely sold out in Japan, Sony claims. Yikes. Platform holder warns there will be no stock available to purchase on launch day in the region. Whew. Hopefully that's not a sign of things to come. Let's jump into the actual main body of the article. As Japan has completely sold out of PlayStation 5, launch PlayStation 5 units following strong pre-order performance for the next-gen console. That's according to Sony Interactive Entertainment Japan, who said on Thursday that there would be no further consoles available to purchase on launch day in the country. Due to high interest and many orders from users, the launch is sold out by the reserved amount, the company has said. While there are still concerns about the spread of coronavirus, we do not plan to hold events or sell PS5 at stores on the day of PS5 release in order to ensure the safety of customers, retailers, and staff, it added. SIEJ went on to apologise for the inconvenience caused and encouraged PS5 pre-order customers to check with their retailers regarding how they will receive their console. In an interview published last month, PlayStation boss Ryan claimed that PS5 pre-order demand had been very considerable. Sony took as many PS5 pre-orders in the first 12 hours in the United States as it did for the first 12 weeks for the PS4, he claimed. I don't know if you guys saw, but we actually covered that on the scoop last week. Sony has been bullish about the PS5 short-term sales outlook, with the firm recently stating that it expects the console to launch in great shape. Echoing recent comments from Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan, Sony's CFO Hiroki Totoki said last month that the company expects to sell over 7.6 million PS5 units by the end of its fiscal year on March 31st, 2021, outperforming the PS4's launch. You know what, we'll stop there because it's just going through other stats and figures that we've had already regarding the PlayStation, how they feel it will sell and what the next year looks like. But what we can say for this year is that if you are in Japan, at least, which may be an outlier for how things will look elsewhere, but if you're in Japan and you haven't pre-ordered the PS5, you have absolutely no chance of going out to pick it up because all consoles have been sold. Bib, thoughts?
Yes. Well, this is something that we covered earlier on this week, was it? And we had, was it the end of last week? We had quite a lot of people on YouTube anyway getting in the comments section about this because we stated that game wouldn't have these available to sell, which is correct. They haven't got them readily available for you to sell. The only way that you're able to get hold of these consoles at the moment was via a pre-order, and that is still the case in the UK, at least. You can't go into a shop, never mind game. We're talking about Smythes or Smiths, if anyone put me. Or any other place that you could get Argos, wherever it is that you usually get your consoles from, that is still the case. Unless you've pre-ordered this console, the chance of you getting hold of one between now and probably the end of the year is about as slim as I am. We knew that would be the case over in Europe because obviously they have to get manufactured in Japan and then sent over however means necessary to over to the West, but I didn't think that they would have this problem in Japan. Now, manufacturing restraints will be put in regardless of where they are in the world, obviously because of COVID situation and how many people they are allowed in the workforce at the time. But I didn't think that not being able to go down the street in Japan and be able to buy the console would be a problem. But this just shows how popular, alongside the coronavirus stuff and workplaces, just shows how popular the console is this time around. Like it's mentioned in the article that this has sold out within the first 12 hours more than it did in 12 weeks. That is mental. I'm very interested to find out why. Like, why are people now wanting to get involved in the next generation of gaming way more than they ever did? Is it because people are more confined to the houses? Is it because more people have got a bit more money to be able to spend? Is it the fear of missing out? Like, that's something that we haven't really had any data on. So I would like to actually know that. But yeah, in terms of getting hold of this console in Japan, and never mind just Japan, the world, it's the first time in my life, I think, where I haven't been able to go out and get a console from the shelf if I wanted to. That's that's coronavirus aside. Like you literally can't find these in the wild. I mean, the closest I think we've come was maybe the Wii, the original Wii when that came out. That was quite difficult to come by, but there wasn't a massive waiting list for it. You might just have to go back 2 or 3 weeks later and then pick it up, not months.
Yeah, I do not know anything that's been this stretched. I mean, the PS4 was stretched, but you could go out and get it for at least half the day on launch day, and then you could pretty much get it for the most of the launch week. But that's where we always talk about the conversations around game and their markup in terms of like add-on sales and so on. But they were there, not just in game. They were in supermarkets, and it was more logistical nightmares in terms of getting them to the stores quick enough. Because of that just-in-time delivery system where they get it and they sell it, and they get it and they sell it. That's fine if you get it and then in bulk, and then you sell, and then you get it just in time for it to be replenished. But when you have unusual demand, you get it and it's gone, and it's like, oh fuck, well, the next just-in-time delivery is not going to be just in time now because it's going to be 3 days later, and as soon as that comes in, that's 3 days of people that have been waiting for it, and that's going to go, and it just keeps going and going. But they were still there. The issue, obviously, this time is completely much. I say completely. It is much more extreme in terms of it's just not going to be there. There is going to be no hope of getting the PlayStation 5 at launch in Japan, and I'd expect, at least to a very similar degree, if not to the same degree, the same sort of situation in the UK, across Europe, in America, wherever, worldwide. Part of that for me will obviously be on the pandemic. Twofold. Pandemic has stopped stock being shipped as freely and as quickly and making it readily available as much as they would want. But also the pandemic, threefold. So you've got, the fact that they can't be shipped as quickly, they can't be manufactured as quickly, or at least they couldn't. They might be rolling now in automated production processes, but that whole process will have been delayed by weeks or months because of the coronavirus in its initial stage. We were told back then it had been delayed. The start of production had been pushed back, which you think, it's only the start. They got rolling eventually, which is fine, yeah. But we also found out, as we covered last year, that PS4 Pros were made in, 3 minutes or something like that? A full PS4 Pro could be made in 3 minutes. So if you push the start of that launch period back by weeks and months, and you think a whole console can be made, let's say PS5 is 5 minutes. It's probably going to be roughly the same, but let's just say 5 minutes. If one console gets made in 5 minutes, then just think of how many could be made in 6 or 8 weeks of production that has been held back. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, most likely. I'm not even going to guess because quick maths. But that number of consoles, imagine how many containers that would fill. Imagine how many countries that could supply, or at least not entirely. If it's hundreds of thousands of consoles, you need millions probably, but still large numbers that were missed at the beginning. Then they were slow to get shipped out. Plus the fact that the third element of the threefold effect of the pandemic is that more people now, especially now in the UK, are going to be stuck inside again. So they need something to do to keep them occupied. A month ago, people were obviously venturing out back into the world again, but when the PS5 pre-orders, people were still kind of like, okay, we might be going into lockdown. We're not quite entirely out of lockdown. There might be regional lockdowns and stuff. Do you know what? I'm going to treat myself to a PS5 because that will give me something to do. So the demand for them is increased. But yeah, like you said, what has led to that sales? I think it probably is the pandemic. I think it's probably the fact that game has become mainstream. Gaming has become mainstream, even more so and more quickly through the pandemic. So I think all of those sort of factors. More people game more often, and gaming is more accessible right now. So all of that thrown in with all of the shit that comes from a pandemic just means that, there isn't enough to go around. If Japan's already feeling it, we are definitely going to be feeling it, which Gary agrees with. He says it's going to be like that in most places. If you don't have a pre-order, you're out of luck. I think that absolutely is the case. Then Madge says best bet is a 0.01% chance to pick one up by chance in Tesco on launch day, first few minutes. I think that's it. You find your Tesco. You need to have a Tesco that is big enough to warrant stock demand. So basically, Tesco will get their big bulk order of consoles. They will say to Sony, we want 500,000. and then they will start sharing them out internally through their stock distribution streams, in terms of whoever is in charge of purchase ordering will be pushing a few to each stores, and then the store manager will be like, yeah, I think we'll easily sell those, can we have 10 more? And they'll be like, yeah, well, we've not really got any. And some stores will get some won't, some will get more than others. So you want a store that's big enough to get some, but not big enough to get all the people going to it as well. So yeah, do the balancing act. Your Tesco will probably have some. If the staff haven't already bought it, because that's also a thing that happens as well. Staff members. I, as a manager, and I understand it, you want to look after your consumers as well, but if I, as a manager, had a store of employees that work their ass off for me each and every single day, and have been doing through all of the pandemic, with all of the potential of getting germs and lurgy from all the people, and wee Jimmy's there doing his 12-hour shifts, overtime and everything, and he goes, can I get one of those PS5s? Do you know what? Fuck it, yeah, Jimmy, of course you can. Of course you can. I can make that happen for you. So you got to think there's managers out there doing that for all the wee Jimmys and the wee Timmys. And who did we talk about? Was it Timmy that we talked about the other day? I can't even remember. So yeah, all those staff members will be picking some up. The downside of that is some staff members are probably going to be picking them up to flog. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, there is a small chance you will get them in some supermarkets. Not very many, and they won't be there for long. So if it is somewhere you want to go, maybe ringing ahead in advance is probably the best way to go about it. Like the day before, a couple of days before. Do you have some? Will you have some? Can I pre-order? Can I get a name to come on? Can I come in and pick it up? What time can I pick it up? And then it'll be midnight launch, kind of. Find your 24-hour Tesco that's open at 12 midnight, and they're going at 1 minute past midnight to the tech counter and go, I'll have that, please, and you might be okay. By 10 o'clock in the morning, yeah, they're all gone. They're all gone. Maybe even long before that as well. For a second there, I thought Bibby was trying to say COVID was popular.
well, it is. It's in a lot of households, isn't it?
Fucking millions of people, mate. Millions. It's technically really popular. 1 million pre-orders and counting. COVID has made a massive impact on production for sure. I bet we'd have a lot more units available if it wasn't a thing. Production and shipping would have been delayed because of it, says Gary. Absolutely. Yeah. The staff in my local Tesco probably didn't even know what a PS5 is. Well, yeah, the majority of staff in my... hey up, Brenda. Do you want a PS5? Is that new kind of plug? Yeah, no. Sorry, what were you saying?
Is that in supermarkets? Not everyone just has the same aisle all the time. So it could be someone who's worked on the deli aisle for one day, then gets put over to do electronics, and they just keep on rotating. So there will be a lot of people in there that have absolutely no idea what the hell most of the thing is that they're selling anyway. So I just keep on, I keep on hiccuping and burping at the same time. So I'm kind of struggling here.
Burcupping.
Burping, yeah.
I know that at least one person in my local Tesco knows what a PS5 is, because I bought that Xbox T-shirt that I wore months ago. I've not, it's somewhere in my cupboard, I don't know. Anyway, I wore it for when we did the Xbox live stream, and I was at the self checkout thing, and then I needed him to take one of them security tags off it, and he's like, nice T-shirt that, but I'd much prefer the PlayStation version. I was like, hey, we haven't got one, but I've got some anyway, so it's fine. So yeah, at least one person in my Tesco will. So that's wee Timmy or Jimmy or whatever name I said he was. He's the one that gets the PS5 for doing the long shifts and stuff. So yeah, the gist of it though, Sony has completely sold out. I know not all territories are the same. Japan is. Well, you know, it's where the PlayStation is made, so there's a very, very big culture in terms of buying the console units there. Not that there isn't here. So I'm saying it might not be exactly the same, but it could be used as a good sort of like litmus test for how it will happen in the UK. Expect it to be gone. We have said for months that we don't believe there would be issues with the consoles getting here, and we don't believe there would be issues for a lot of people that are quick to move in getting one, but we did always say that we believe that there will be issues in stock shortages, no matter how much they were saying early on. Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer both saying, yeah, we'll have all the consoles, it's fine. They were saying that months ago. We were saying, there will be consoles, but there won't be enough consoles. They will be sold out. And funnily enough, Ice Cream Uploads called it absolutely right. It's almost like we're absolute legends, mate. So yeah, there you go. Brenda in Tesco cares more about the deli counter and what ham from Romania is on offer than how many teraflops a new console has. Absolutely. I mean, it's really good Serrano ham, that one. I mean that flops terribly well, if that's what you mean. No, Brenda, that's not what I mean. But cheers, I love. Anyway, let's move ahead. One of the questions we did pouch. I don't even know what word I'm looking for. We did pause. Let's go for that one. Is why have they all sold out? Obviously, the pandemic and things like that is one reason, but the next article potentially gives a little bit for that. I'm assuming this based off the title. I haven't read the article, so we'll jump into it together. But you can see where my assumption comes from straight away, as this is written by Tom Wijman at Newzoo, who says global game revenues are up an extra $15 billion this year as engagement skyrockets. If that is not a reason for consoles to be selling like hotcakes, then there you go. I don't know what it is. In our new global games market report quarterly update, we forecast that the games market will grow 19.6% to $174.9 billion this year. This number is $15.6 billion higher than our previous forecast, which we made early on in the pandemic. Look at that. I mean, imagine having a forecast that you've already made in the pandemic, saying that it's going to be higher, and then by the end of the pandemic, realizing that we aimed low by $15.6 billion. That's huge. Anyway, and with companies' financial results for H1 2020, we can now see the impact of increased engagement on game spending more clearly. Exactly how sustainable this growth remains to be seen and is dependent on many factors. We anticipate that the market will continue to grow, generating $217.9 billion in 2023. Meanwhile, our global games market report subscription is now fully integrated. Just fine. I don't know if it's fully integrated or not, but China and the US remain the two biggest games markets. Console and mobile gaming revenues are most boosted by the pandemic, but when it comes to region, the impact is spread relatively equally. In line with previous forecasts, China and the US still represent 49% of the world's games market in terms of consumer-generated revenues. Escapism, socializing. Oh, yeah. Okay, now this is actually relevant, so I'll keep with this. So, escapism, socializing, and time-filling drive revenue growth for the games market during the pandemic. So, while COVID-19 has impacted some aspects of development, the pandemic has not fundamentally changed the games market, nor has it transformed player behavior. Rather, it has accelerated trends we have previously reported. This acceleration results from the ongoing measures around the pandemic. With the population being encouraged to stay at home and limit social interaction, people have turned to gaming en masse. Gaming has been a means for entertainment, escapism, and socializing, and interacting with friends and family for many consumers, leading to unprecedented growth for the games market. Previous Newzoo research that the socializing was the number 2 reason people have spent more time playing games during the pandemic. Therefore, it's unsurprising that games offering a social, fun, and competitive experiences have enjoyed huge engagement this year. Among Us and Fall Guys are just 2 examples of new games that tick these boxes. Both titles became some of 2020's biggest hits. Do you know what? We don't need more news on revenue streams and stuff, so we'll leave it at that point. Obviously, we'll link this in the show notes for anyone that does want to see the full article, because it's very in-depth. It's a bit more in-depth than we usually go for the scoop, but it has a lot of insights in the article. So, yeah, definitely good read. But 15.6 billion higher than the expected on the growth year on year. So not only the fact that they've rounded it up, and then it's gone up by almost 16 million on top of that. That's incredible. Thoughts, Bib?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to shout out Robo Daniel for sending this one through to us. We actually did get quite a lot of people yesterday putting stuff in our Scoop Discord, so I appreciate that. And I've just gone back onto it, and more stuff is still coming through, so I very much appreciate each and every one of you that have sent through things to us that we can then talk about. But yeah, this kind of goes hand in hand. I'm glad you went straight to this article after the last one, because we was talking about what this could, how much money has potentially been made because of the pandemic and what that's meant for the rest of the world who's been stuck inside. A lot of people probably have dug out older consoles. So people, I don't want to say growing up, but people may not have got back into the PlayStation, may not have bought into the PlayStation 4 ecosystem 7 years ago because they have a child, they have a full-time job, they have a career where they don't have that much downtime. Obviously being at home for 5 months, I think it was, where we couldn't really leave the house. That then boredom starts to set in. What do? Dig out the old PlayStation 3, really get into it. You get back into playing with your mates again. If they was back into a PS3, they now want to get the latest and greatest because they've got back into video games again. This projection of how much money is going to be made will obviously boost these charts up because the console is going to be what, is it 450 quid?
Yeah.
That then between me and you, we've spent nearly £1,000. Well, you would have spent, between us, you would have spent that because obviously you bought a new controller and buying charging stations. So between me and you, we've already spent over £1,000. That doesn't, that number doesn't even come into the rest of the people that are in the jelly office and the people that are now in the chat that would be getting a console of choice this time round. So there's a lot of money that has been projected from these new consoles. I think the biggest reason is because people needed something to do during lockdown. They probably got back into gaming. Something has appealed to them somewhere down the line. So even their forecasted total amount that's going to be spent this year has well exceeded that due to maybe are they counting microtransactions. I haven't read the entire thing because, as I said, it's kind of a number fuck. But I don't know whether or not it takes into consideration money spent within the game.
Um,
I think this may just be software and hardware. I don't think it takes into consideration money spent within the game. I mean, that would just far eclipse anything that would have been forecast if it'd taken the likes of Fortnite, Warzone. I always think, for some reason, I just want to call it Call of Duty, but that's a completely different game. So Warzone, Among Us. I don't think there's microtransactions within that, but yeah, you see where I'm going.
Yeah, I kind of feel that this will include microtransactions, just because, I mean, it does mention all revenue streams were impacted. So this is where I stopped, but it doesn't say whether it includes in-app or in-game purchases or so on. I assume it will, just because it also doesn't say it. It just says, our revenue adjustment affects our forecast for every segment we cover, PC, mobile and console. We now forecast that PC games will generate 37.4 billion, up from the previous forecast of 36.9. It's just saying that PC games will generate 37.4 billion. I mean, you've got to kind of feel that in-app purchases or in-game purchases, if that isn't included in that, then these numbers are going to be filthy. Because, I mean, it says mobile games will generate 86.3 billion, up from the previous forecast of 77.2. If that's just on mobile game purchases, then you wouldn't expect mobile software to be nearly 3 times what PC is. So I kind of feel that includes that already. I mean, games on console generate 51.2 billion. The interesting thing there, though, is, I mean, we all kind of in here probably share a same sort of opinion that we are PC or console gamers primarily, and mobile is the alternate option for us anyway. Obviously, the danger with creating content and sharing that content online is often the people that watch your content are of a similar persuasion, a similar opinion as you are, which that kind of must be the case. We are in our own little echo chamber because we think PC and console games are better than mobile games. I'm talking, obviously, devil's advocate-ish here. But if you add PC gaming revenues and console gaming revenues, you will get 88.6 billion. Both PC and console gaming revenues are forecast to generate 88.6 billion. Mobile on its own is 86.3 billion. So it's just 2 billion behind all of PC and all of console gaming on its own. It shows you just how powerful mobile gaming is in terms of driving revenue. That's incredible. That is incredible.
Well, that's the thing, that the mobile market, they don't even advertise. The target, I hate using this term, but the casual gamers, the people who will dip in for 15, 20 minutes, spend all of their energy, and then wait to come back after an hour when it starts to build up again. How do you speed that up? Yeah, you can pay £1 if you want to increase your energy again, right back up to the top. Spunk that away in 20 minutes, then pay another £1 to recharge it, so you don't have to wait an hour. It's intrusive, but it works. Like, there's a reason why the mobile market works for absolutely everybody. I mean, there is battle passes in the likes of PUBG Mobile and Fortnite and things like that, but yeah, I think it's the games like Clash of Clans and I'm so out of whack with mobile games. I don't really play them. I play FIFA Mobile and PES Mobile. That is pretty much it.
Yeah,
But
the thing is, FIFA Mobile and PES Mobile, whilst they are mobile games, I get what you're saying. They're not of the classic mobile vein in that sort of sense. It's more like the console experience. You pay for your coins to have your packs or your agents or whatever. It's not that pay to play sort of idea of we can speed it up, pay for the end goal. I used to play Simpsons Tapped Out. I didn't put money into it to like you can spend. I think it was donuts. Put a donut on this task, and you can do it now rather than waiting 8 hours for you. Come back to your guy who's building this thing. All right, nice donut, bosh. But donut is the premium currency that you don't earn. You have to get either by logging in for long periods of time, like a week, you get a donut or something like that, or put money into it. And that the thing is like pennies make pounds, cents make dollars, and add your own currency in that space there. And they genuinely do. If you spend it's 59p. If I had 59p in my pocket, I would put it away somewhere so it wasn't in my pocket, and then just forget that it existed because it's 59p. It's loose change. But that 59p added to Bibby's 59p, and that 59p that I put on the other day, and a few people down the road who put 59p on, and then suddenly you're looking at a tenner. Okay, well, I quite like a tenner. I'd take a tenner. But then you add that to all the tenners from everyone else, and suddenly you've got hundreds of pounds. Well, we'll all be 100, and then them hundreds of thousands, and it's suddenly it all clocks up. There are some, like as they call cash whales. So there are people that will just throw shitloads of money into it, just as consumers. Then you do have obviously the other side of the coin where you'll get the content creators who will throw shitloads into it for content. Obviously, it's a little bit different because content feed into the system, but take out of the system, i.e., you sponsor them and pay for them. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that sort of way. But yeah, there is. It's not surprising to see mobile gaming being that big, even though I'm thinking, PC, yes, console, yes, mobile, when I need it. I do like mobile gaming when I need it. It scratches a specific itch for me, but it's amazing to see it's just as big as every other form of gaming put together. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah. But tell how much what kind of mobile games require you to spend money. You can't play them offline. They're the kind of, like, there's so many games. Like the New Star Soccer is probably the only game that I've got on my phone that I can play offline because you don't require any money. It doesn't connect. It doesn't require an internet handshake. The ones that usually I have to play online constantly, always connected to the server, are the ones that you have to pay money. You can't play it like Dream League Soccer. You can play that one as well, but there's so many other games that you can't play offline. Like if you was on a flight, you couldn't play them. A lot of those games you probably will. If you want to play in a fight, you probably have to pay like £6 or £7 because it might be like you mention this all the time, like Streets of Rage. You can play that one on the flight because you probably paid £2 or £3 for the privilege. But the free to play ones, obviously.
I didn't because it was one of the Apple used to do 12 days of Christmas, and they used to give you a free app. That was a paid app every day for the 12 days from like Christmas, or either leading up to Christmas or between Christmas and January or whatever. And there used to be some good stuff in it, so that's where I got things like mobile games that you can play offline, like Cut the Rope, Angry Birds, and Bad Piggies or whatever.
The absolute standard.
Yeah, fucking amazing games. Cut the Rope
was legendary, man.
Yeah, I remember.
Paper toss.
I was a fucking absolute god at paper toss, like to the point where I figured out like just the perfect arc lines in terms of if the bin was on this side of the room, but the fan was on this side of the room and it was blowing strong, I knew exactly where I needed to throw it to get the arc to go back over and land into it. Yeah. Anyway, blast from the past. Anyway, to wrap that up all in one, the PS5 is completely sold out in Japan, and that is probably due to the fact that global gaming revenues are up. Not only are they up, but they are up by $15.6 billion more than was expected. So if you wonder why you can't get hold of a console, that is pretty much it. A lot more people are spending a lot more money on gaming, and the reasons for that are as you would expect. Escapism, socializing, and time filling. Basically, people are looking for things to do during the pandemic. That's not just something that we just take as we assume, which we have been assuming it for months. This has now got stats behind it thanks to Newzoo's insights. So thank you very much for Robo Daniel for sharing that insights with us, because that's pretty good. Nice. But you know, if you can't get yourself a PS5 on launch, you might be able to get yourself an Xbox Series X, and if you can't get a Series X, then you probably have a little bit more chance of getting a Series S. Why have I just explained all of that? That's because I'm jumping into another news article. Hey.
That seems Who left the door open?
Honestly, we said shut the door behind you. Good morning, Mr. T.
Why that's him?
Tassim Anvia, noted industry leaker, is in the house. How's things, dude? Next article, written by Andy Robinson at VGC, says Xbox Series S will have 364 gig of storage available for games, it's claimed. That is tiny. COD, what was it, 250 gig? Yeah, enjoy COD and one update. Ta-da! Anyway, but Microsoft has previously said that install sizes will be smaller on the digital-only console. Oof, I mean, I will obviously keep the faith. If they believe that the installs are gonna be smaller, then that's fine. I'm happy to see that, but I'm not sure. 364 gig would be enough. As we jump in, Microsoft's budget Xbox Series S console will have just 364 gigabytes of storage available for games and applications. It's been claimed. That's according to a Reddit user who appears to have obtained the digital-only console ahead of release and claimed that around 148 gig of its 512 gig SSD is reserved for operating system functions. Excuse me. If true, the figure would closely match the storage space reserved in the original Xbox One console for OS functions. It was previously revealed that the premium Xbox Series X reserves almost 20% of its 1TB internal SSD storage for its operating system, leaving around 800 gig usable for software. Although the available storage appears to be surprisingly small for a digital-only console, Microsoft has claimed that game install sizes will be approximately 30% smaller on the Xbox Series S than on Series X. Xbox Director of Program Management Jason Ronald told IGN that because of the smaller resolution texture packages required for games on Series S, which will run software natively at 1440p as opposed to 4K on the Series X, install sizes will be significantly reduced. With a performance target of 1440p at 60 FPS, our expectation is that developers will not ship their highest level bitmaps to Xbox Series S, which will reduce the size of the games, he said. I have no idea what a bitmap is, but it's fun to say. Bitmap. There we go. Anyway, Microsoft recently detailed the custom storage options that will be available to the Xbox Series X and S owners and explained why storage expansion cards for the consoles cost $220 or 220 quid. Nice conversion rate there. Lovely. Nice. In a blog post, Xbox Director of Program Management Jason Rawls said players will be able to unplug their existing external USB 3.1 HDD or SSD from their Xbox One and connect it to the Xbox Series X and S and play all of their current-gen games. Players will also be able to use 3.1 storage, USB 3.1 storage to house next-gen games for transfer and play on the Series X and S. But existing USB 3.1 storage options can't be used to play games optimized for Series X and S and won't replicate the speed and performance of the next-gen internal SSD. These features will require a Seagate expansion card. Ronald also, do you know what, actually, let's just stop there. This is all tangents. We appreciate the extra news, Andy, but we don't need it at this point in time, as we can say that the Xbox Series S will have just 364 gig of storage available for games on the 512 gig SSD, and that's the reason because the 148 gig that's missing is dedicated to the OS. 346 gig, babe, is that enough space?
If you used to delete playing one game and deleting it and then moving on to the next one, probably yes. That's the same situation that I've been in with a PlayStation 4 this entire console generation. I have never upgraded my hard drive. I've still got the basic 500 gigabyte one that I got on day launch last time. So yeah, it's kind of same but different console. Interesting that it's going to cost 220 quid. I mean, we've covered this multiple times before, but that hard drive is super expensive. But I mean, there's one thing in here that I didn't actually know about. And that is you being able to take your old hard drive out your Xbox One and then use it as another hard drive on your new console. That is pretty good. So you could technically have two hard drives. I mean, you're not going to get the performance, but if you play Warzone or any other game that you've already got installed in your Xbox One X, and you're more than happy with performance on those, you've got games like Rocket League, Warzone, Fortnite, keep them on that hard drive, and then the games that are absolutely optimized and are going to be groundbreaking on the new console, just keep them on the internal one. So you could technically be able to run 2 generations of games off 2 different hard drives. I imagine that's probably the best idea, unless you actually want to go ahead and spend the 220 quid if money's no option and you want the absolute best that you could possibly buy. Get that, but I don't think that's a bad workaround if you could actually have your old hard drive and be able to use that. I think that's probably a very, very good idea, and not one that I've even considered or come across before.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the idea a few times previously. The bit that's always been kind of in my mind is it's almost like having a loft or an attic or a basement or a garage, whatever you want to call your storage space, where you can just put a box of stuff that you don't use right now, but you need. So if I can access my storage, my HDD, and just go, okay, COD is 250 gig. We know it's 250 gig. On PC, we were expecting it to be about the same on console. We haven't had confirmation on that yet, or not that I've seen anyway. So let's say it's 250 gig. I want to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is, let's say that's 150 gig. Okay, I don't have space for both. That's suddenly too much. I'm at 400 gig. I've only got 364 gig. I need to get rid of something. Can I just move COD onto my HDD rather than deleting it? So would that save me data online in terms of just go boop and then, okay, give it 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes or whatever to move it over, and then move Valhalla off of my HDD onto my parts of the system, so my SSD. The reason that I say parts of the system is because obviously you can get the expansion card. Anything that has what they call, Xbox calls the velocity architecture. That's the way they phrase it. So can I move the stuff I want to play onto my velocity architecture, but take the stuff that I don't want to play onto my hard drive? If I can do all of that in one ecosystem, that's not too bad. I quite like how convenient that would be. I mean, I would much prefer to be able to just launch games off my HDD and play it faster, but that's just not possible. That's saying I want the old gen to be the new gen. Yeah, so do I, but it's not going to happen, mate. So, yeah. 364 gig just doesn't... Even if you drop it by 30%, they're saying the size of video games is 30% smaller. Okay. I mean, what is 30% of 250? Is that like... It's about 80-ish? Something like that? I don't know. Somewhere around there. So you lose 80 gig off of 250. You're still looking at 170 gig for Call of Duty. That's still a huge chunk out of a 360 gig hard drive. I'm still not sure it's going to be enough. I'm not sure. Mr. T says 364 gig, that'll be enough for Call of Duty. Just. Gary says that's one game plus and Disney Plus. I guess the Series S is for the more casual gamer. They probably only play 1 or 2 games regularly anyway. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's just...
We did say that this would be the Games Pass console, but I mean, you have to download the Games Pass games, don't you? You can't... I don't think you can stream them. I mean, I haven't really tested it extensively, but I'm fairly certain that you have to download the games first. So even still, having to keep on re-downloading the game, complete it, delete it, move on, you couldn't really make... I suppose then you probably can make the most of Game Pass in that. It'd be better, obviously, if you could stream them, if your internet could handle that.
I mean, you'd need to be...
Yeah.
It's very good for a functional gamer. Someone that goes, I want to play through the story on Call of Duty Black Ops. And okay, delete. I now want to jump into Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Download, delete. Okay, I fancy a little bit of Fall Guys. Well, not that that's on Xbox, but download, delete, and then keep doing it that way. Play and delete. Someone that moves on, it just would not suit me at all. I have so many games installed on my PlayStation that I do not play, but they are there because I will come back to them. I have Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a space eater, sat there because I'm 2 chapters in out of the 3 or whatever it is. I have Spider-Man 2 hours in, which I'm just going to start again on the next gen, so I could probably get rid of that. But you know, it's been there for so long, I'm not doing it now. I have God of War an hour in. I have Horizon Zero Dawn a couple of hours in, all started and all waiting for me to go. So I'm a different person. Obviously, if it's a casual games console, it doesn't speak to me anyway. But I get the fact it being casual, but even still at that point, it's almost going, it's a casual console. Yeah, I want it. But then stopping you and going, wait, I don't think you quite got me. It's casual console. It's like, all right, calm down. Yeah, that sort of level, it's casual, but it's very casual. Got 364 gig. You kind of feel that, all right, it might be good based off where we are for a lot of games. Not all games are over 100 gig. A lot of games are nowhere near that. But a lot of them are as well. And with the next gen coming, developers, when they have more space to play with, will use a bit more space as well. So you kind of feel that even though they're going to be 30% smaller than the Series X games, I wouldn't be surprised if the file sizes get bigger. I know there's kind of, there has been talk that the SSD does make things load faster, so they don't have to waste space replicating assets, but that kind of offsets the fact that assets will be bigger, so games should be about the same, is what they said. But I would not be surprised if they get bigger. Very, very big. And fairly quickly as well. So that 364, if you're playing FIFA and that's all you're playing, you will smash the shit out of it, and it'll be the perfect console for you. If you're playing FIFA, but your mate also wants to play a bit of Rocket League, and Baby's like, do you know what? I've just found Elder Scrolls 27 plus whatever. I was going to say Godfall, but that's another PlayStation exclusive. But someone like Baby jumps on a few different games. Suddenly, your console demand for FIFA, it's like, yeah, I'll play that with you. Just give me 15 minutes to re-download it again because I had to delete it because I wanted to play something else the other day. It's just a bit difficult. I love the idea of it being a casual console. I love the fact that it gives you a specific need for the console. It just seems maybe a bit too hamstrung. Like the fact that it can't play the Series X enhanced games. So PUBG, for example, won't play as well on the S as it will on the X. I mean, in terms of that, you'd be better off playing a 1X in some elements. So it can't play the games. It can't have as many of them. It just suddenly it's very good, but it also just doesn't seem as good as it initially did. It's still definitely. I mean, for the price of it and getting into the next generation, it's definitely still good. But it's, from my perspective, probably that's it. I'm skewed by my own perspective. For me, it becomes less attractive. For me, it's probably still good. Still good for the casual gamer.
Yeah. Well, for this, I would much rather have paid the price of the top tier console, because that would be the difference in price for buying the external hard drive. I think if I can use, I mean, it does say players will also be able to use USB 3.1 storage to house next gen games for transfer and play on the Xbox Series S and X, but existing 3.1 storage options can't be used to play the games optimized. So does that mean that I can buy any 3.1 external hard drive and play it?
That's the way I took it previously. As far as I'm aware, Xbox One X and so on allow you to just plug in different external hard drives. So I'd imagine that's the same thing there. So you can still boot games off your hard drive. It just doesn't have the velocity architecture benefits.
Yeah.
So you will boot
you could buy an £80 one, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Right.
But
cool.
you don't get so any HDD, be it a 200 quid one or an 80 quid one, will play games exactly the same, but you need to get the Seagate expansion card to have them optimized. If it's not that Seagate expansion card,
perform better.
Yeah.
So sacrificing performance by buying an off-the-shelf one, basically.
Exactly. So I've just clicked through to the other article, and there is a table that breaks it down. It looks like a small table that's been boosted size-wise, so it is a little bit pixelated, but it says, so these are the differences between using USB 3.1 HDD versus the Seagate expansion card. So they will both store your games, and they will both play Xbox One, 360, and original Xbox games. But if you want to play games that are optimized for the Series X and S, you can't use a 3.1 HDD. You can use the expansion card. If you want something that replicates the speed and performance of the SSD, you can't use the HDD. You can only use the Seagate expansion card. Which, that kind of sounds a little bit more like to me. If you could just get yourself your 80 quid HDD and plug it and play boot games off it, but not have all the benefits, okay, that's all right. But if you can then just move it all internal, like if you get a USB drive and plug it into your PC, and you take some files off that and put it on your SSD on your PC, and it boots faster, wonderful. But then you take it and put it back on the USB drive and it doesn't boot as fast. If it works in that sort of sense, then I'm happy enough with that. Then that kind of claws a bit of it back for me. Then, because if I can just move stuff around internally without having to delete and then yeah, that's good for me. That's good. Xbox Series S, the ONS of gaming console. ONS. One night stand. There we go. Got there eventually. Hey. It pretty much is the one night stand of gaming consoles. You play it, and once you've done, get out of here. Yeah, it's almost like they're trying to make HDDs and SSDs like game cartridge like. I mean, that's definitely what they've gone for with the Seagate expansion card. So I'll bring this back on to show it. So that is very similar to what they've got there. So obviously, it's a little card inside a plastic casing. Take the plastic casing off, just plop it in the back of your console. Boop, there we go. Removable, job's good and nice and easy. It is a very nice idea. It's pretty much a PlayStation 2 memory card, mind, but with more data. So it's a really nice idea. It's just a very expensive idea. £220. Like Bibby says, you buy yourself a 250 quid console or whatever it is for the Series S, then buy yourself a 220 quid expansion. You're suddenly spending just short of 500 quid, and you can get the X at that sort of price range. So if you got the X and you're buying the expansion, all right, fair enough. You add an extra terabyte, you're doubling your storage. But if you're sticking that into an S, you might as well just get the X. It's just yeah, expensive. Xbox Series Small, exactly. Yeah. But what did the Xbox box have to say about it? See, I actually said that right because it was wrong. If you'd have said fuck, I'm not even going to say it. I was going to try, but I was going to... If you wanted to say Xbox... yeah, then fuck it up. Xbox Boss. There we go. Yeah, I can say Xbox Box. I just can't say it the other way around. The issue I have with the expansion card is that it's currently proprietary, unfortunately. Yeah, same. I don't mind proprietary components because you know it'll work. You know it's good. Exactly the same reason that I have this sat next to me, which I talked about the other day. This is my Astro HDMI adapter for the PS5. This tiny little box inside will allow me to split my audio from my HDMI cable coming out of the PS5 into digital optical and HDMI so that I can use my Astros just as I am. Use them for my PC and for my gameplay setup at the same time. 35 quid for that tiny little box, which is not stupidly expensive, but when you look into how much audio HDMI split hardware costs, that's quite expensive. It's probably twice as much as most stuff. But I paid for the convenience of knowing that it will work. And I don't mind that to a certain point. And that's kind of what that is, the proprietary stuff, the Seagate cards. You're paying to know that it will work. You're paying to know that it's Velocity architecture, that it's gold seal stamped and approved. But 220 quid, it's not too far ahead of top storage media SSDs that have the same sort of write speeds. It's not that far away. But it's yeah. As in the video game spectrum, maybe that's it. Maybe it's the snobby gamer inside of me. Just hurts a little bit. But anyway, Xbox. That's the last article I clicked through from that one. So Xbox Series S will only have 364 gigs of storage available for games. It does have a 512 hard drive, but 148 is taken up for the OS, so you can't have all of that. Anyway, do you know what? We've got nice. It's almost like it's election week, and we need like political balance because we've had a little bit of PlayStation news, then we went into a little bit of Xbox news, and now we're going to talk about Nintendo. I mean, if this isn't election week, I don't know what is. God. Anyway, so talking about Nintendo, which we haven't done for a while, actually. It's been fairly quiet on the Nintendo front for us, at least, as Andy Robinson from VGC does look to change that with a news article from this morning saying that Nintendo's latest results reveal huge Animal Crossing sales as Switch hardware approaches 70 million. Woo! The company increases hardware sales forecast. New Horizons on course to become Switch's top seller. So Animal Crossing New Horizons huge sales performance continued this summer, with the game on course to become Nintendo Switch's best-selling title ever. So during the 6 months ending September 30th, 2020, New Horizons had sold some 14.27 million units for cumulative sales of 26.04 million units. Nintendo revealed in its latest results on Thursday. Animal Crossing remains the second highest selling Nintendo Switch title to date, behind Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with 26.74 million. Wow, it's only 0.7 million units, and Mario Kart 8 is bundled with pretty much every Switch ever, which is why it's got so many numbers. That's incredible. So that in itself continues to show the sales momentum with a further 2.25 million copies sold in the 3 months to September 30th. New Horizons has already more than doubled the lifetime cumulative sales of 12 million for Animal Crossing New Leaf, which was the previous best-selling entry in the series. Nintendo increased its hardware sales forecast on Thursday up to 24 million units from 19 million on the back of its latest strong results. The firm's hardware and software sales continued to see huge year-on-year growth during the 6-month period, with combined Nintendo Switch and Switch Lite. Oh my god! Start this whole paragraph. There are 3 Ers in there. Let's start again. The firm's hardware and software sales continued to see huge year-on-year growth during the 6-month period, with combined Nintendo Switch and Switch Lite hardware sales reaching 12.53 million units, an 80% increase year-on-year for life-to-date sales of 68.3 million units. Software sales were up to 71% at 100.25 million units, with Nintendo notably reporting a strong start for Super Mario 3D All-Stars, the compilation released in September to commemorate Mario's 35th anniversary, with sales of 5.21 million in just a few weeks. That's because you limited it and everyone had to buy it, you evil people. Paper Mario, the Origami King, released in July and sold 2.82 million units. The company continued... Do you know, actually, we'll stop there. We've got enough stats. Too many stats will make it a bit difficult, but Nintendo has revealed that the Switch hardware is approaching 70 million consoles sold, and Animal Crossing is on course to be the best-selling Switch title ever. Thoughts, Bib?
Again, this is absolute sheer ignorance from my perspective. Never really come across Animal Crossing. Didn't know that it had the backing that it did. So again, this still absolutely baffles me. What doesn't baffle me though is how strong the Switch is still going. I think we're probably 1 or 2 games, 3 games away from actually beating most of the home consoles. Like, this is going from strength to strength. 70 million hardware sold for the Switch. That is mind blowing. Do you think then that this could probably exceed the PlayStation 4? I know it's not going to exceed the PlayStation 2 because I still think that will probably be the best there will ever be in terms of sales over a lifespan, because obviously the lifespan was a lot longer. But 70 million for the Nintendo Switch, do you think it could come close?
Yeah. Well, what are we on, like 120 or something for the PS4?
Let's have a look out. I think it may be like 130 now, but yeah, 120 I think was the last one that we reported on here at least.
Yeah, somewhere in that sort of region. So they've sold 70 million with how many?
3 years.
How many has it gone up just this year? 12.53 million units in the last 6 months. So that's 80% increase in year on year. That's not maintainable at that level. It's not going to stay operating at an 80% increase on the period previous to that. That said, that 80% increase will mean that there is more development, more eyes on the Nintendo Switch, more developers making games for a system. The issue with the Switch at the start was the Wii U. The Wii U failing so not spectacularly, but it failed. It didn't do what they wanted it to do. And as a result of that, everyone pulling out of development for the Wii U will have meant that people wouldn't have been quick to put development into the Switch. But the Switch absolutely smashing numbers now means that developers, if they aren't already, and a number of them will be, but if they aren't already, new developers will be putting new time and effort and money into that. Because, I mean, we've just been speaking about mobile gaming. Mobile gaming is just as big as PC and console gaming put together. That's how big mobile gaming is. Not that this is mobile gaming, but it's closer to it. So there's definitely some crossover there. So yeah, if we can see a growth of 12 million units in 6 months, 25 million units for a year at that sort of rate, then we only needs 2 years to hit the PS4 sales. That said, that level of growth for 2 years solid is just, it's not possible. I would see
That's it. 113 million for the PlayStation 4 as of August.
So
units sold.
Yeah, we're probably close to what we had then. I imagine that slowed down dramatically at the end. But yeah, maybe between 115 and 120 ish, somewhere potentially then. I could see this hitting that, because this has only been out 3 years. Nintendo know how to sell something forever. So I could see this having 4 to 10 years left of sales.
Right. I'll spin this another way then. So, as it stands, 70 million for the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo's best-selling console, collectively, because they don't segregate these out annoyingly.
Game Boy.
The Nintendo DS family, 154 million. Now, the DS, I don't think this includes 3DS. Because it does say, in fact, it doesn't, because it says Nintendo 3DS family, that was 75 million. But Nintendo DS family, 154 million. Above that, ever so slightly, was a PS2 at 155 million. Just below that was the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Now, that's over a 10-year cycle of the original Game Boy coming out and then the Game Boy Color coming out. So that's 118 million. Do you think, then, that they'll beat the 118 million?
I think so. I mean, I say that. I do think so. I think it's potential. It has the potential. I think the only thing that could stop that is Nintendo. Because whilst it's nice to have the best-selling console ever, or the number 2 or the number 1, I'll push up to that barrier. What's better is to be consistently earning a shit ton of money. And Nintendo like to earn a lot of money. So I think the only thing that could potentially stop that, it's definitely got the potential. The only thing that will take the potential away is if Nintendo suddenly go from the DS to the 3DS, if we go from a Switch to a Switch 2 sort of idea, I think that'll be what stops the Switch. Nintendo stopping their support for it, because if it's not a Switch Pro, and if a Switch Pro is classed as a Switch family, then absolutely going to smash it, 100%. If they go to something that's a different naming convention and the model changes, then I could see it stopping fairly quickly in that sort of sense. But without if they continue supporting it as they did with the Switch and as they did with the Game Boys and so on, and as they did with the DS, should I say, and as they did with the Game Boys, then I could see them passing 113 million, 180 million, maybe 150 million, because I mean, I imagine 12.53 million units sold in 6 months. I imagine that even the DS probably struggled to hit those sort of numbers at its peak. So different times. Very, very different times right now. I think that could be a huge factor into it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it gets there now.
Well, we already know that the Nintendo Switch has got 2 SKUs. We've got the Nintendo Switch Lite, and then obviously the Nintendo Switch. There is absolutely, at some point, going to be a revision of this console, whether or not it's going to be a Nintendo Switch Pro, or they're just going to... Well, in fact, no, there's already 3, because I think they brought out the original Nintendo Switch, then they brought out a Nintendo Switch with improved battery life, and then Nintendo Switch Lite. So we are going to get another revision of the PlayStation Switch, of the Nintendo Switch. But it's just whether or not they take the Pro option and just cram a load more shit in there, bulk it out a little bit, to try and advertise it as another home console, not just a hybrid, but an actual home console. I don't think they probably will try and market it as that, but I think they will try and put some performance stuff in there to try and either speed it up a little bit, or try to get a little bit more resolution out of it. That will come at a cost, because obviously they will need to put a better screen in there. But the very Nintendo way of doing things, they will just house all of this under the Nintendo Switch family, and then just account every single sale as one. Very much like they did with Tetris and the Game Boy.
Yeah, so, all of the things.
Game ever.
Different platforms for 30 years. Yeah, exactly. Fine. Okay, speaking of Nintendo and different platforms and games that have been going for years, let's wrap things up with our final news article then as we jump into it. Sticking with Nintendo's Pokemon Go is having an amazing year, apparently, according to Stephany at VG247. Do you know, I didn't know this, because I have all but given up on Pokemon Go now. I don't log in daily. I don't do all the stuff. Do you know what? I'll tell you that afterwards. Let's jump into the article. Pokemon Go generated $1 billion in revenue during the first 10 months of 2020. Actually, I'm going to stop for a second, because I didn't jump through the chat, and I wanted to box things off first, actually. Magic Man. Actually, not Magic Man. It was Gary who said, crossing over to the Switch.
Network.
I remember the first lockdown and people trying to find a Switch. They were as rare as a guitar playing unicorn. I mean, we've got a guitar playing Bibby, so it's fine.
Well, yes.
Do you want another rendition of Fuck You Furno? It's fine. Hey, Mr. Tharian Drake with another raid.
Oh, we had a follower as well, the Great Tone.
The great,
Thank you very much for the follow.
The great one. Thank you very much for the follow.
Oh, the great one.
Greatone. Thank you for the follow. That's lovely.
I apologise sincerely.
I did see that, but you were talking at that point, and then obviously outside our mind, I forgot. But thank you very much for the follow, great one, and Mr. Tharian Drake with the raid once again. We appreciate the support. Thank you, dude. How's things? How's the late night / early morning going for you? So where did we get to? Yeah, I think the lockdown adding. That's what I mean with the 12.5 million Switches sold in 6 months. The lockdown has a huge part to play on that. I don't think that they can count on that. Maybe they can account for it again over Christmas because a bigger spending period plus lockdown might lead to that. Plus the fact that PlayStations are potentially going to be sold out and Xboxes are potentially going to be sold out, and you still need to get something for your kids for Christmas. Some people might just throw a wedge of cash at Switches, so they could sell big again. But yeah, it will definitely slow down after Christmas, I imagine. Animal Crossing, I believe, is a near must-have title for the Switch, says Magic Man. We have it, we just don't play it. We bought it, and I can't see it being for me. And Danielle said it wasn't for her, so we do have it, but we don't play it. Magic says, "I'm trying to get a Switch. Trying to get a Switch earlier this year. It seemed super difficult going on what some folks were saying on social media. Yeah, there was loads of bird bots and things set up so that people could snipe sales as soon as they went back into Walmarts and wherever around the world. People were getting the sale so that they can scalp and then sell for twice the value, which is the horrendous part of human nature and capitalism. But there we go. With Bibby talking about Nintendo, it looks like Sonic behind him is giving him the evil eye. Yeah, look what you've done to me.
Absolute legend.
October John, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it. Did you come in with Tharian Drake's raid? If you did, appreciate you hitting the follow button. Thank you very much. Anyway, we were jumping into a news article before I wanted to catch up with the chat. So Steph Nunneley at VG247 says Pokemon Go is having an amazing year. Pokemon Go generated $1 billion in revenue during the first 10 months of 2020, according to Sensor Tower estimates. According to the data, 2020 has been the best year so far for Pokemon Go, with players spending up 11% compared to last year and up 30% more than in the first 10 months of 2019. During the first 10 months of this year, the game has ranked as the third most played mobile game by global player spending. It only ranks behind PUBG Mobile and Honor of Kings, respectively. To date, the game has earned almost $4.2 billion in global player spending, with the US the best market, with spending in upwards of $1.5 billion, or 36.3% of total spending. Japan and Germany rank just below the US, respectively. Google Play users have spent $2.2 billion on the game, while App Store users have spent $1.9 billion, and to date, the game has been installed 600 million times, with the most installs occurring in the US. Google Play accounts for the most installs with 466 million, and the App Store has seen 132 million downloads. Doesn't surprise me, and it does surprise me. Doesn't surprise me in general because Pokemon Go, people having more need for gaming and things like that. It does surprise me because people can't go anywhere. So seeing that kind of increasing that, but they have put a lot into the game to make it accessible to people whilst still remaining socially distant. My issue with it though is, which probably leads into them having an amazing year. Pokemon Go, for me, I've stopped playing because everything in it felt pay to play now. It was always something that you could opt in, but then they'd have like short-term events. Like in the lockdown, it was like, oh, this day we're gonna have some special missions, which increases your chances of getting shiny Pokemon of a certain variety, and it costs 79p to opt in to play for the day to get your 8-hour pass, and you think 79p for 8 hours of entertainment, it's not that bad. But 79p to be able to play the game that everyone else is playing, that I've been playing for 2 years, for today. If I don't spend that 79p today, I can't play with everyone else. So it's not fear of missing out. It's not even fear of FOMO. It's just not being included. Everyone else is doing something, I can't. And it was the same. It was like 4 weekends in a row. 79p, 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 79p. Some people will pay for 3 years and not put a penny into it. I get that's not going to sustain the game. But people were able to play for 3 years without putting a penny into it. To put a 79p buy-in to something that was just general content, I didn't like. And then they added like Mega Evolution, which I was like, Mega Evolution came in after I'd given up on Pokemon. Oh, this is amazing. I get to see how it works. It was pretty much another time thing. You can Mega Evolve your Pokemon. It costs money and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, long story short, I'm not surprised they're earning a shitload of money. But for a casual gamer that doesn't want to throw lots of money at something with in-app purchases, then it's not great for me.
That's not it, Chief.
Yeah, any more for you to add on Pokemon Go having an amazing year?
Not really. I mean, I haven't played it for so long, but the chances are that I may end up start playing it again soon. If I'm going to be going out and about, walking about somewhere, I don't know. Can't go on the golf course, so I need something to fucking do.
David says, surely this year it's Pokemon No Go with lockdown. Yeah, pretty much. Now they were good in terms of adding things in, like adding more spawns around the world so that you could get Pokemon without traveling as much, and making it so that Pokestops have a wider radius, so you don't have to go right up to something to spin it, so that people can stay further away. So that sort of stuff was pretty cool. But yeah, I didn't like the fact that there's more stuff this is cool, you have to buy it. There's always been skins in the store that you can buy if you want to change the way your character looks, and you can buy more passes if you want to do a full day of raiding and so on. I get that stuff, that's paying to have fun with it, but just paying to just do the bare minimum of catching stuff, you've lost me by that point. Madge says, that's a blooming load of money spent on Pokemon Go. Great for them, fearful for gamers in general and corporate suits that expect/hope for similar on their monetized game. Is not good for players. And that's the thing, I mean, they're going to want the same next year. And that's where you get the change from community to corporation. If there's a community focus because the game is just super successful, then you can do... You as a company and as teams within the company will be allowed to do, let's throw an event on, let's give this away, let's do that, and the company like, yeah, we're making shitloads of money, yeah, 10 million, yeah, whatever, it's fine, or 1 billion in 10 months even, so not even 10 million, more than that. But then next year when they don't make 1 billion in 10 months, when they're at 11 months in and they're only 3 billion, they're like, we've only got, no, not 3 billion, we've only got $500 million, and it's like, it's $500 million, yeah, but it's only $500 million. We had double that in 1 month less last year. Okay, we need to start cutting community activations and change to, we need to get more profit out of it, and that's where I hope they don't start to go down that line of things, because that's just got to be horrendous. That's there was a phrase that I heard used, it's trying to squeeze water out of a stone, or it's trying to, is it get blood out of a stone is the official phrase or something like that?
Yeah.
I had mentioned last night on a similar sort of subject, but yeah, they said get water out of a stone, but same sort of thing. I hope they don't start trying to get blood out of a stone, because that's when you see a game just go, like, even if they're on a downward trajectory, you see it just bottom. Like, not that I'm still playing.
I'm just logging into Pokemon Go now to see whether or not my character's still live. But it just seems to have froze. It's not doing anything. I got this phone maybe 14, 15 months ago. I haven't logged into Pokemon Go in it yet, so we'll see whether or not it actually works.
Well, I mean, we still play it occasionally. When we're out, if we go for a walk, I will log in, I'll open it up. But me and Danielle and Chloe dropped off about a year and a half. Me and Danielle, if we're still going for a walk, it's something that gamifies your walk. It gives you an objective. So we still do it, and I still like the idea of playing it. It's just... there's nothing really in it anymore. The only things to do in it now for me, as someone that's got most things, is either spend money to get more things, like spend money to get raid passes, spend money to be included in a campaign that will get me a Pokemon that I can't get if I don't spend money, or just grind, like get another Charmander, get another Charmander, get another Charmander, oh, I've got a shiny one, but you've got like a 0.1% chance. It just becomes demoralizing, and that's not the kind of game that, it's not the fun that I had when the game first came along, so I don't enjoy it as much. Plus I've got all 151 of the original ones, so what else do I need? Exactly. It's like doing an Activision. Oof. It is, exactly. This year online media and gaming has almost literally had a captive audience. It has, and that is both positive and negative. It's positive because if you've got a captive audience, you have more eyes on, you get more value for your investment. That return on investment is likely to be recouped if you do it properly. So more companies are willing to gamble a bit more in terms of giving more back to their audience, because they know they're going to get their money back. But on the flip side, a lot more companies are also going, okay, well, we've got them, they need us. So we have leverage now, so we don't need to give as much, because they need us. We're going to get the blood from that stone. So yeah, good and bad. Just depends on who's pulling the strings, or if it's the purse strings. That's the more decisive factor. But anyway, that's a bit of a negative, even though it was actually a positive. Pokemon Go is smashing it, at least for the Pokemon Company and Niantic Labs, I imagine those guys are absolutely rolling in it, but consumers have been squeezed from my perspective. But do you know what? Let's give you a quick recap. The PS5 is sold out in Japan, and that's probably because people want to play it during lockdown. The Xbox Series X will only have 364 gig of storage after the OS has been installed on the hard drive. And Animal Crossing's New Horizons has sold nearly 70 million copies, and the Switch is absolutely on course to be potentially one of the biggest consoles that has been sold ever, whilst Pokemon Go has had a good year. So mixed up and down news that. Some things selling well, some things not as well. Yeah, nice, there we go. We are going to finish. Thank you everyone for being here though. Appreciate you all being for the scoop. Once again, each and every single day you guys join us to talk through the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories of the world of video games, and it means a lot to have you all here. We are going to finish up. We're going to jump back on. It's Thursday, so it's a PUBG day. So if you want to see some PUBG games, if you've got nothing busy, if you've got nothing planned, you're not going to be busy over your lunchtime, and you want to see some nice casual PUBG games, then join me and Bib as we play some PUBG Season 9 on console. So feel free to stick around. If you want to jump in some games, maybe we can sort that too. Before we do jump off and jump back on with PUBG, though, we will finish up, go offline to wrap up this stream, and then come back online with that. Before we do that, though, Bib, anything you want to throw in?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. If you do want to have your voice on this podcast, then all you need to do is just find us over 2 different ways. So find us on social media. Spoiler, it's Ice Cream uploads across absolutely everything. Second way, find us on our Discord. There is a area in there called The Scoop. And again, I very much appreciate each and every one of you that have been posting stuff in there for us to talk about. We very much appreciate that. All you need to do is just drop in the URL, add your thoughts and impressions. We will then give you our thoughts and impressions on the very next show, which will be at what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day?
It'll be tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Ish.
Some issues in the chat.
Obviously, next week, what are your plans?
Are you not in at all next week? I can't remember.
No. I am off next week. Not that I'm going to be going anywhere, but my original plan was to have like a caveman week where I'd literally just turn my phone off and don't do anything. However, I'm now confined to the house again. My plan was to be able to go and play golf and go out and do things. That has been hindered, but so I'm still going to be going out and going on walks and doing whatever I need to do. But yeah, in terms of being around,
I don't know what the plan is for next week. We may not be scooping next week. I've not got the plan, but we will definitely have content daily every day anyway. So yeah, nice. Just the social links that are in the chat at Ice Cream Uploads across all socials, as Bibbs mentioned. Keep your eye on that, and that's where you will get notifications. I can confirm that next week you will get notification of what the video game is that we will be giving away for next month's subscriber loot drop. We've been giving you teasers that are pretty obvious, so if you don't know by now, then you need to wake up and pay attention. But yeah, we'll let you know that on Monday. Nice. Anyway, see you back here in about 10-15 minutes for some PUBG. Yeah, nice, lovely. Until then, have yourselves a fantastic day and stay frosty.